It's a good point. And, Daniel, it's not just, as you know, it's not just Syria that confronted President Obama this week in terms of touching on foreign policy. The whole issue of Guantanamo Bay, where the U.S. has a military prison down there, and that has become something of a iconic image around the world in terms of the image of the United States. And there now, as you're going to be talking about in the next hour, there are more than 100 prisoners at Guantanamo Bay who are on a hunger strike, and the president has been confronted with a pretty daunting challenge because it's getting a lot of attention, and it's raising the question of President Obama as to whether or not he has done enough to try and close Guantanamo Bay. Here's what the president said about that at his news conference.
Guantanamo is not necessary to keep America safe. It is expensive. It is inefficient. It hurts us in terms of our international standing. It lessens cooperation with our allies on counterterrorism efforts. It is a recruitment tool for extremists. It needs to be closed. Now,
and all progressives agree with the president. So then the next question, the follow-up was, well, Mr. President, don't you need to do more to try and close it? I mean, it was the president himself who, when he was running for election in 2008, who said that Guantanamo Bay must be closed. Well, here's how the president responded to that question.
I'm going to go back at this. I've asked my team to review everything that's currently being done in Guantanamo, everything that we can do administratively, and I'm going to re-engage with Congress to try to make the case that this is not something that's in the best interest of the American people.
My issue with that is that the president saying he's going to try to re-engage with Congress on this. I mean, that means there's no chance this is going to get done. The president has been trying to re-engage with Congress on the issue of gun control and smart gun legislation for the last several months. We see where that got, and an issue where it's even more politically challenging for so many politicians in terms of dealing with Guantanamo Bay and whether it should be closed. I don't think the president's got a chance on that one, and I do think that it's partially his fault that Guantanamo Bay remains open. The president could have done a lot of things without consulting Congress, without having to deal with Congress over the past several years to close it down.
Yeah,
but in any case,
David, one of the interesting things here is that on so many national security matters, the president has sort of claimed the executive privilege to say this is within the sole purview of the president to make these decisions. And of course, I'm thinking specifically about using the authorization of the use of military force that was for the war in Afghanistan to kill people in countries without trial, in countries that we are not at war with. He's claimed that responsibility as the executive. And now here he's coming back and saying, well, but Guantanamo, Congress is tying my hands. So now, I don't know the legal specifics of that, but suffice it to say that they've been willing to circumvent sort of traditional due procedure in the past. And David, there's another thing to note here. Republicans are claiming that the president is not using the Pentagon to waive restrictions on a case-by-case basis. So, in other words, there are 86 prisoners of the 240 that prisoners that remain in Guantanamo. 86 have been cleared for national security purposes to be transferred out of Guantanamo to prisons in the United States or to other countries. The chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, Buck McKeon, has basically said those people, rather than waiting for an act of Congress, the Pentagon can say we can issue an order allowing the authorization to be waived on a case-by-case basis, and for the White House to essentially set these people free case by case. And the Chairman McKeon is basically saying, what's holding you back? Well, their claim is that the president wants to use this against Republicans. It is a question, but certainly we haven't seen any urgency and certainly more opposition on the Republican side.